Hello, and welcome to One Nation Underdog. I'm Mark Harvey. In this video, the second where we're talking about international political economy, we'll be talking about mercantilism, a significant departure in approach from liberalism, in which, as opposed to worrying about how efficient our businesses can be, or how much money our governments can make overall, or how prosperous our people can be in a globalized society, we're much more concerned about one central aspect, and that is power. We're going to be much more concerned about whether or not individual nation states can survive, how businesses have to navigate themselves within that particular environment, and what some of the strengths and weaknesses are, anyway, of mercantilist approaches. In order to begin our discussion on mercantilism, we'll start in a submarine.
Now we're going to talk about international political economy. And the key question is, what causes states to pursue particular patterns of trade? And what are the implications for conflict, cooperation, and ultimately commerce?
If we want to define mercantilism, it basically suggests that companies and countries are not motivated by profit and savings necessarily, or at least not alone, but by power.
You can trade with other countries, but only if it enhances your own relative power. The key is that they do not want to become dependent upon other countries. Self-sufficiency is the key operating term. There's a word for this. It's called autarky.
And autarky basically suggests that states should be self-sufficient. And it says that, in general, importing is bad, exporting is good. You want to maintain a surplus, especially of resources and reserve assets like gold. This is the goal, really, that you're going for if you're a mercantilist.
The last thing you want to do is to be hooked to another country. You must rely upon yourself so that others won't drag you down. This was the strategy of choice for most governments prior to and during most of the 19th century, and it still has appeal for many groups and political parties today in many forms. How do states preserve autarky? First, you use your military to secure resources for your self-sufficiency.
If somebody else has got something that you want, then you've got the power to take it, you go and take it. Or you advance your foreign policy in such a way that its goal is to try to enhance that surplus to get those resources that you need. We may use it in some ways as an incentive to try to get stuff that we might want. And I'm not sure that it's just necessarily based on incentives, is it?
No.
I mean, let's just take Iraq, for example.
War, yeah.
I mean, we could say that, you know, let's trust George Bush for a second in his heart of hearts, you know. He probably, you know, Saddam Hussein was a bad man, and, you know, maybe he was worth getting rid of, and maybe maybe they thought he had weapons of mass destruction, and okay, let's buy all that for a second, that's great. Do you think that any intelligent policy planner could ignore the fact that they're sitting on a mountain of oil?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. That if you're going to break all their stuff, that somebody's going to have to rebuild it? And that when you rebuild it, it's going to be American companies that rebuild it? I mean, you could go in there with the best of intentions, but you'd be stupid to ignore this stuff, right? I mean, that's real life.
Second, you may manipulate your currency in order to get the cheapest stuff for your country, charge the most for the goods you trade.
The use of fiscal and monetary policy in order to try to affect the value of your currency so you can buy more or less stuff, or sell your stuff at a lower rate if need be, or be able to buy more stuff. Most of all, you use protectionism. You raise the prices of foreign goods to encourage your own citizens to buy your country's goods. The idea is to keep strategic industries from going overseas, and to keep jobs in the country so that they don't cause a lot of social unrest, and so that your own people don't try to overthrow you. Mercantilism, I think, fits into the picture of the world that we've been talking about up to this point, where everything has really been more about power and what you do with money in order to try to get more power. As you think about the implications of what we've just discussed, ask yourself these questions. To what extent is a mercantilist approach superior maybe to a liberal or some other sort of economic approach? Is it necessary for states to engage in mercantilist policies at times in order to try to achieve their ends and goals? And ultimately, what are your thoughts regarding this approach?